Rome wasn't built in one day goes a famous saying intended to suggest that it always takes time to achieve something great. Kenya and the world at large has witnessed the country make history as tens of thousands of younger youths marched relentlessly across different parts of the country in protest against 2024 finance bill. While earlier efforts to have the bill redrafted afresh bore little fruit, with members of parliament only scrapping off some parts of the proposed bill, the youths refused to be coaxed by few amendments demanding the entire bill be redone. Turns out, Kenyans this time round decided to read the proposed bill themselves, unlike the norm where politicians pick out some clauses and politicize them for reasons only known to them. Besides the amended areas, most clauses in the bill blatantly aimed to make Kenyans' lives more miserable than it already is, and Kenyans had had enough, hence the countrywide refusal of younger youths to abandon demonstrations in efforts to fight for what they feel and know is their right. The youths may not have successfully convinced the MPs, but the president's refusal to sign the bill suggests they sure won the fight this time round. But the war is definitely not over. Their act of sacrifice and courageous fight against evil, selfish, and undemocratic economic governance just marked the beginning of an era of revolution, not just in Kenya but worldwide. However, with every failure, or let's call it setback, are numerous lessons we must learn from mistakes. And I agree, setbacks are only stepping stones to success. So, dear Kenyans, you must all see the successful rejection of the bill as an important lesson that will aid in the many future steps toward reforming the self-centered, non-citizen representing governments. I mean, how can an MP strongly defend their support for a bill, citing the bill will enable build particular rural road, yet those rural residents are openly saying they reject the bill as they cannot afford it at the moment? Who are they really representing, themselves or the people? And do these residents have to sacrifice necessities such as affordable food and sanitation for secondary needs? Kenyans' anger is more directed at how badly the 2024-2025 budgeting is, as it prioritizes tertiary wants over public's basic needs. For instance, these 600 million shillings allocated to renovating the deputy president's house. Such monies can be used to pay teachers, doctors, nurses, or even build that one rural road for which the taxes are being increased. I mean, one doesn't need to be an accountant or finance guru to know how to budget responsibly with a limited income, and then from there identify and propose reasonable taxes that Kenyans are comfortable paying to finance the budget. I mean, seriously, MPs, the people you claim to report are not stupid. We're in the information age, and I believe Kenyans know a thing or two about how things work. The youths are not as ignorant of these things as their freedom fighters were. But it was a relief for protesters and Kenyans at large when President Ruto declared he will not sign the bill into law. The president also suggested to have some of the executive arm expenses reduced, but did not specify by how much. So where did Gen Z almost mess things up? I'll just tackle one area in this video, which is separating themselves from the rest of Kenyans. You see, Gen Z, Kenya is not made up of Gen Zs only. There's a huge population older than you and another younger than you. And I believe you are fighting for all Kenyans and not just your generation. The problem is, the moment you began publicly voicing your disappointment, disapproval, and dislike of older generation, that in itself initiated cracks in the noble fight and future fights. I interviewed a 60-plus-year-old asking why they weren't attending the demonstrations, and they said, "We can't." Gen Z said, "We, the older generation, have held this country and so must remain at home." Remember, politicians have been in the game for decades and they know how things work. You're only as strong as your weakest link. These are people who have used tribal lines, religion, and gender against the people since independence. Yes, you may not be tribal, and I believe many Kenyans now aren't, but ageism is as evil and as dividing as tribalism and religiosity. That's why you witnessed some Gen Zs openly claiming they wish to start a Gen Z political party, and shamelessly so, while the objective was very clear from the beginning, rejecting the 2024 finance bill. What do you think the conniving politicians saw? Definitely immaturity and also an opportunity to lure younger youths into their schemes, all the while pretending to support them, while in reality sabotaging them from the inside. What you must all remember is that a country is not made up of a single generation, and no single generation is better than the other. The ongoing generation fight must stop if Kenya is to stand tall. I do not think the country's freedom fighters once praised themselves of being better than their parents or grand or great parents for finally liberating the country from colonial rule. I believe there is some information a baby boomer would have given you while protesting and proved very useful. Besides, when the government saw you've secluded yourselves claiming you'll show other generation how it's done, it portrayed pride, and as we all know, pride always precedes downfall. The government might have assumed you're on your own out there without the support or backing of other strong generations in the country, and yet they all were against the bill, but you blatantly brushed them off. So you are like strong, determined cubs trying to roar against angry, older, vicious predators. If only you openly invited the lions and lionesses into the fight to be your backup and defender. But thanks to all those who participated, Gen Z or others in one way or another, thank you for setting the pace. Those youths invited to discuss the new finance bill representing Kenyans must remain keen and alert, lest they be lured and seduced by promises made by political OGs, making them lose focus on the main reason they are there, which is making Kenya a better and habitable country for all. And like mentioned earlier, we all learn from mistakes. Each generation knows what mistake they have made, remembering that a house divided cannot stand. So don't let age be the new cause for division among Kenyans, because the agenda for a better Kenya will be unattainable. This was the beginning of a revolutionary era where the voice of the people is heard and obeyed and not brushed off like it doesn't matter. Or what do you think? Share your thoughts on the comment section below, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Look out for our next video, and until then, adios.